Hi everyone, it's Alison here from alisonmwood.com, and today I want to talk about the budget-friendly guide to branding. So obviously there are people out there that do absolutely amazing jobs branding, your whole business, your website, everything that you put together. And this isn't taking anything away from them. If you can afford to go for that, then that is definitely an amazing thing to do. More what I'm talking about today is if you're perhaps starting out in your business, or you're trying to bootstrap things and spend as little money as possible. It doesn't mean that you have to get everything perfect with branding and everything before you just get out there and get started. In fact, if you're very much at the beginning, it's often better to kind of evolve as you go. So just get something out there, then you can tweak as you go along. Not everything has to be perfect. In fact, otherwise we get caught in that procrastination loop of thinking it all has to be perfect before we can even get started. Much better, much more effective, and much more likely to bring you some income is to get out there and, really start putting out what you want to offer. However, that said, there are some things that you can do to help draw your business together so that people recognize you from your website, that your website is more of a pleasing place when it arrives because it's not too busy, there's not too much going on in terms of colors and fonts, etc. Plus, you can then use that across your social media. You could use the same images, etc. in your newsletter. And it just draws it together and it makes people recognize you wherever you are. So all you really need to do for this is to think about a couple of fonts that you want to use and a couple of colors. Then when you use and you find images, or you take your own, perhaps you incorporate some of those colors into the images. Now, there are some great free stock sites out there if you haven't got the money for purchasing stock images at the moment. One of those is Unsplash, unsplash.com, and the other one is Pixabay, pixabay.com. There are others, but they're just a couple of examples, and I will put a link to them below this video. So also, when you're thinking about it, what you want to do is you want to think about one font that is a little bit more fancy, or a little bit distinctive perhaps. It doesn't have to be a script font like the one that you see here on my website. It doesn't have to be, if you don't like that kind of look, it could just be a font that's a little bit larger or more smooth and roundy rather than, straight laced. So there's lots of things you can do, but just have a bit of a distinction between the two fonts. It could be like tall and thin, something like that. So just make it kind of so they're fonts that have a clear difference between them. And then what you'd want to do is use one of the fonts, probably the fancier one or the one that's a little bit different, for your titles. And then you'd want to use the other one, the more sort of kind of, not standard, that's not the right word, but less fancy one for the text, the body of your site. So here I'm using just Railway, R-A-L-E-W-A-Y for the body. And then I've got this more script-based one for the title. So then you can see as you scroll down that it just makes it stand out a little bit more on the titles. And then I would use that consistently throughout the site. But for the stuff that people are going to read, sometimes these script fonts are a little bit more difficult to read, so you wouldn't want a lot very close together. So I stick to a nice, easy to read font there. I always think it's better to go for, like a darker font on a white background. So it could be black, or this is like a deep grey. And then as you scroll down, you can see the titles are all that, but everything else is just font. Just plain font. Now the other thing to think about is a couple of colours. So you can see here that obviously this kind of hot pink colour is my main highlight colour. Now with the other colours, I would say probably this kind of lighter pink is the one that goes more in the background. But I really have only one main colour for mine. The other ones are really just made up of the images that I have on the site. So I keep everything in this kind of deep grey, and then I just have a one contrast colour. Now, it's good to have it as a contrast, and obviously it doesn't have to be pink, but it has to be something that differentiates it from the text. And I'll give you the reason for that is when you've got links embedded in your site, you want them to stand out nicely. You know, you want people to be able to read them easily, so this is just a blog post, but you do want them to stand out so people can clearly see this is where I need to click if you're sending them on to a product or a service page or an affiliate link or something like that. So just have at least one kind of contrast colour that stands out. If you want to choose like another background colour, you can do that too. You could maybe have some of the pages, some sections in there in a sort of a paler background colour. Then what I do is I keep things consistent across all my different locations. So across social media, I use a banner that is one of my images in my newsletter, and I have a store. I also kind of reflect that image that I've got on the home page of my website in the store, and again you can see that hot pink colour is what's coming out each time. So that makes it super easy for you. A couple of fonts, one, maybe two colours that are yours, and then you're going to use them wherever you go. So sort of in your cover image on Facebook, you could reflect those fonts, you could reflect those images. Not so much on Instagram because you don't have so much of a header there, but in the images that you put out on Instagram, definitely, again, you could reflect those fonts that you like to use, and you could bring elements of the colour that you're choosing in. Now, one place that is super helpful to really make images easy is Canva. So I'm just showing you here, I actually have the paid account of Canva, but this is the free account, and I'm just going to show you in here just what's on offer basically. So it's so easy to make things in here because they give you all the sizing. So if you want to say do a Facebook post or a Facebook cover or a presentation, and we'll come on to that in a second, an Instagram post, it is all set up in here. Now you can just use custom dimensions, so you can actually create a design, choose that you want to make it Instagram and then make it from scratch, or you could actually take one of their kind of templates and then make it your own. So let's just say we wanted to use this minimalist one here. So you know that's an Instagram post, you know it's the right size. You can choose lots of different templates here, and then you could make them your own. So you can see as you go through. So say you wanted to do a quote, something like this. You can even, if you liked that font, you could keep that font, but obviously change the text. You can add elements into the background. They have photos, they have graphics. Many of them are free, so you can just choose the ones that are free. There are some that cost $1, but you don't have to use anything that's paid. You can just stick with the free elements if you want to. And I think up here, oh no, yeah, you can just scroll through and see if they're free. So let's just say I had a pet-based site and I wanted, oops, I didn't do that very well. You just drag it there until it actually adds. And then, you know, obviously that one doesn't work very well for the dog, but I would, you know, put some different text on that. You can even brand it with your website, so you could put your URL at the bottom. And they just make really good things to put out to help people understand more about what you're offering. Now, the other great thing that you can do within here are presentations. So, for example, if you want to put a lead magnet out, and when I say a lead magnet, that is the free PDF that you're giving away to grow your mailing list, you can use Canva to create a simple checklist, a short presentation. And when I say presentation, I just mean like you've probably put a little bit of info together that you're giving away. Let's just say you were writing a short report on, you know, what you need to do to prepare to adopt a dog, something like that. So you would just have your short bullet points that you want to put together, or your little paragraphs, depending how much you want to give away at that point. You could then have links through to back to your website, to your services, to your products, you know, depending what you sell. But what Canva does is it makes it super easy to make something that looks amazing. So when people download it, they're not going to think it's just, you know, something that you've done in Word, which is what mine were at the beginning. They are something that look even nicer. So you can go in there to presentations and you can choose any of these and then basically make them your own, you know, any of the free ones. Again, some will have a cost associated with them. Not sure if we'll get down to those, but there will be some with a cost, but many of them are free, and then you could make them your own. So you can see there, it doesn't even have to be that long, but you can see how you can take something and it makes it super easy. So obviously you would want to add your own touches and things to that, but it just really cuts down on the process, plus your audience gets something that they think is amazing when they download it. So I hope that's been helpful. Really, the things you just need to think about are choosing a couple of fonts and then using them consistently everywhere, on your website, in your presentations, in those images that you put out on social media, maybe even in your newsletter if you've got a header or something like that. Choose at least one real brand color that you're going to stick to. You can have secondary colors, but you know, at least if you've got one strong color that people will then start associating with you, and again use that in consistent places, and then get some help by using something like Canva so that you can make things much faster and much easier. If you do want any help with Canva, I have a Canva workshop that walks you through all the basics and a little bit, some bit more advanced, because the great thing about Canva is that you can start pretty easily, even doing presentations and things like that. There's no real limit to what you can do, but as a complete newbie. So if you want to check that out, I'll put a link below this video. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon.